Hello everyone, my name is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the St Kilda Superiors. Welcome to week 2 of the MLBA, where the Superiors are taking on Coach That Boy Troy and the Boca Raton Raticates. Hoping to make a comeback from our week 1 loss against Hat and the Portland Trailblazers. Let's get straight into the team builder. So, looking at the Raticates squad, they have Aegislash, Hydreigon, Mega Venusaur, Togekiss, Victini, Seismitoad, Jolteon, Hitmonchan, Archeops, Licky, and Grottle. With the Z users they've chosen under their Z budget being Hydreigon, Victini, Seismitoad, and Archeops. So this is actually, that Butcher has actually taken over this team from someone who dropped the league. And they've made a few transactions, which were not going to be allowed for week 2, but I hadn't actually prepped yet, so I was like, well, you know, let's just have you actually use the squad that you want to use. Makes sense. And to be honest, actually kind of made the matchup a little bit better for me. The previous squad had Volcarona over Victini, and Volcarona is a big threat to my squad. So, you know, worked out okay. But looking at this roster, there's a few things I notice. Speed tier-wise, Jolteon is obviously the fastest thing, speed tying with Crobat and Tapu Koko. And then it kind of drops off a bit. There's only really Archeops and Victini, the only other things 100 or above. With Archeops obviously being like a really big offensive threat against my team. I mean, if you look even at the roster that you can see, on my side, but also the 6 that I did decide to bring that you should be able to see on your screen, something like a Scarf Archeops or even a like Z Archeops, because it is one of his Z users with like Earthquake, could potentially be a huge issue. So I was kind of a little bit worried about Archeops. Victini, I wasn't as worried about, because I do obviously have the Mega Titar. Obviously you could run Fighting Move, I believe it gets Focus Blast to be able to deal with that, but yeah, so there were a few things. I wasn't really sure whether he wanted to go for a more offensive squad with like Aegislash, Hydreigon, Victini, Jolteon, Archeops, or whether he'd go for a more bulky squad with, like, again, Aegislash, because obviously that thing has a lot of versatility. Mega Venusaur, Togekiss, Seismitoad, maybe Hitmonchan. I did kind of expect the Hitmonchan, because otherwise a Dragon Dance Mega Tyranitar would be a huge issue, because the combination of Stone Edge and Crunch hits pretty much my opponent's entire team with, like, I suppose Hydreigon I'm not hitting that well, and Seismitoad. But Seismitoad's got a lot of roles in this game, particularly since it kind of wants to take on Tapu Koko as well. So, that all said, let's get into what I actually did decide to bring. Oh yeah, and the other 2 things I noticed were that his hazard setters are Seismitoad, Grottle, and Archeops, so I was kind of expecting Seismitoad to be rocked because it already has a pretty good matchup. And then the removal was Togekiss, Hitmonchan, Archeops. Of those, I probably expected the Hitmonchan the most, with maybe the Togekiss potentially as a response to Salamence, although, you know, given that I can run like Z-Fly or, you know, I believe I get Stone Edge on that thing, or, you know, like other super effective coverage, I wasn't that much expecting Togekiss. Anyway, let's get into the team. Infernape has an amazing matchup in this game. The EV spread I have outspeeds Scarf Victini. So I'm a Choice Scarf set with Fleblets, Close Combat, U-Turn, Stone Edge. This coverage hits everything. It outspeeds everything except for obviously Jolteon and Archeops. Although obviously they'd have to be Scarf to outspeed me. And at the point at which they're Scarf, I'm a lot less scared of them. They can't necessarily do damage to my team as well, and I can check them with other things on my team. So given that, this thing just has a great matchup. Obviously a good response to Aegislash. Good response to Togekiss with Stone Edge, to Victini with Stone Edge. Close Combat will do a fair bit to Seismitoad, will do a lot to Jolteon, if not kill it, with Close Combat or Fleblets. Do a lot to Hitmonchan, fair bit to Archeops, destroys Licky, destroys Grottle. So, yeah, you can see this thing, really good, can pick me up momentum with U-Turn, which is really nice. Second one we have, with also picking up momentum, is Tapu Koko. Once again, this is outspeeding his entire team, bar Archeops and Jolteon. That was a big focus for me in this game, because I think this team has a lot of offensive pressure on my opponent's team, so if I was able to pick up momentum with these 2 U-turners, we could potentially bring in some of our big offensive threats that that come in later in the team. Dazzling Gleam, obviously for the Hydreigon, Thunderbolt for, stab, U-Turn, and Grass Knot, obviously to hit the Seismitoad, with the Assault Vest there, so that we can live Earth Power from Hydreigon, and so that we can also tank hits from Jolteon much better, because obviously I'm giving the Jolteon the Electric Terrain, and whereas he's immune to my Electric coverage, I'm not immune to his. And so I was a little bit worried about being, reverse swept by a Jolteon, because, yeah, that thing, I think 2-hit KOs if I'm not Assault Vest with, Life Orb T-Bolt. So, yeah, I didn't want that to happen. Assault Vest means that we don't really take that much damage at all. I think it has to be, modest specs to not even 2-hit KO us. I think with the specific EV spread, I just don't... 2-hit KO me after rocks, but I'm not too worried about that, because I do have a way of, if not stopping him from getting up rocks, then at least really punishing him for that. Yeah, that's about it for that spread. There's not much else to it. Modest, so that we can hit reasonably hard. Dazzling Gleam destroys the Hydreigon. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. Third Mon. This is my favorite set on the team, which is a Choice Banded Stoutland. Scrappy, so that we can hit the Hydreigon, sorry, not the hit the Hydreigon, hit the Aegislash with Superpower and absolutely annihilate that thing. I believe even in defense form, this thing is going to get blown back by a Choice Banded Superpower, particularly because I'm adamant. We've got a little bit of speed, just to potentially speed creep the Mega Venusaur, and there was something else on his team that was base 80 at the moment. The Togekiss, looking at it, I haven't got the speed tiers in front of me, speed values in front of me, but yeah, specifically the Mega Venusaur, because I expected it to be a really bulky Mega Venusaur. I didn't really expect him to run much speed on a lot of his mons, so things like Hitmonchan, yeah, Mega Venusaur, Togekiss, Aegislash. I didn't really expect much speed on those things, just because most of my team will outspeed them regardless of how much speed they run. So we've got Superpower, Return, Facade, Crunch. Facade, obviously, just in case we get burnt by, a Scald from Seismitoad. Crunch is... I don't know why we have Crunch, frankly, because Superpower is going to do more to Aegislash. Crunch doesn't really hit anything. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see that we didn't really need that much coverage against this team, right? Superpower for the Aegislash, Return as neutral stab, Facade as backup stab. Oh, Crunch is for the Victini, that is what that is for. Yeah, Crunch is for the Victini so that we don't have to predict around the Victini versus the Aegislash. So that is actually reasonably handy. Yeah, this thing just destroys my opponent's team. It can 2-hit KO pretty much everything. Nothing's really OHKOing it unless they've got a very, very powerful fighting move. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to using this thing. Fourth Mon, this is going to be our lead. This is a Shukaberry Metagross, which we have running a lot at the moment. We also have this in the PSVC D-League, which I haven't been uploading, but we're approaching playoffs, and we're actually sitting at 5-2, so we may be in the playoffs, and if so, I will be uploading those games. But this is our dedicated lead. This is a special Metagross. That is because we want Grass Knot to have a chance to OHKO the Seismitoad if he's not Rindoberry. And if he is Rindoberry, I just wanted to make sure that I was going to be, doing good damage. And Psychic allows us to potentially 2-hit KO Mega Venusaur, which is really, really nice, depending on his spread. Shadow Ball lets us hit the Victini, and the Aegislash. So yeah, this set's, really solid, against my opponent's team. I could have run a physical set and just still run Grass Knot, but I just really, really wanted to run a special set. I thought it would be really fun. And obviously Shadow Ball is a bit more useful against my opponent's team than Earthquake, just because it doesn't have as many immunities. Obviously he's got Licky Licky, but I'm not too worried about Licky Licky coming in on my Metagross. Again, the speed is just to try and speed creep some things, and then, yeah, just in case he does try and speed creep a Metagross with, a min-speed Metagross with his Aegislash. And otherwise it's just here to threaten out the Seismitoad, get up rocks, and generally be a switch in for things. But yeah, once it's really stopped the Seismitoad from getting up rocks and or killed it, then it doesn't really have too much of a role. So that's pretty good because we can kind of bring it in on a lot of things. Fifth Mon, Starmie. This is a Wakanberry set to tank hits from Jolteon and Victini. Surf, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Rapid Spin, Dazzling Gleam obviously again for the Hydreigon, Surf hits most things, and Psychic for the Venusaur, with the Rapid Spin obviously to get rid of hazards. You know, pretty stock standard stuff. 115 base speed allows us to use a modest nature and still outspeed Victini by 1 point, which is really handy because it means we can get that modest analytic power if we are able to threaten something out. Obviously, Seismitoad's a bit annoying for this thing until I can get rid of that, but, you know, as I've just established, we have a plan for getting rid of that. So, yeah. Again, pretty self-explanatory. That's just a 252 set. Salamence. Bringing back the Yachi Berry D-Dance set, but this time with Stone Edge and Earthquake, instead of whatever it was we had last week, Aqua Tail and something else. Stone Edge hitting the Archeops and the Victini, whereas Earthquake hits the Victini and the Aegislash. And then Dragon Claw hits pretty much everything else. This is not here to sweep. This is just kind of here as a... It's got Intimidate for physical Aegislash, which is kind of what I expect, because I kind of expect to see Sacred Sword in case I brought the Mega T-Tar. But it's kind of just here to threaten and bring something out so that I can break it down. Like, basic premise of this team is to use things like Stoutland and Salamence to whittle down his big, bulkier checks, and also to be able to take on that kind of bulkier team. Like, if he decides to bring a very offensive team, or even a couple of his more offensive mons, this thing's probably not going to be that useful, aside from the Intimidate. But if he does decide to bring some of the bulkier stuff, then this thing could be really useful. So, let's get into the match. Okay, so, you can see that that boy Troy has decided to bring the Aegislash, Seismitoad, Jolteon, Mega Venusaur, Licky, and Hitmonchan. So he's gone for much bulkier side of his team. With only really the Jolteon and the Aegislash exerting, like, specific offensive pressure. The rest of them I'm not too worried about. So looking at that matchup, I'm expecting to see some sort of offensive Jolteon, possibly like a bulky Swords Dance Aegislash. Stealth Rocks is on Seismitoad, that's just guaranteed. It's going to be Stealth Rocks, it's probably going to be Rindo Berry, but, you know, what are we going to do? Mega Venusaur is probably going to be bulky, Licky is going to be a fat Wish Passer, and Hitmonchan I'm expecting to be like an Assault Vest Rapid Spinner, but we'll see how that goes. So I decide, as I've kind of already established, we're going to lead off with Metagross and try and get rid of this Seismitoad on turn 1. He does lead off with the Seismitoad, so that's nice. So we're just going to click that Grass Knot, and he does have the Rindo Berry, so he only takes 51%, but you can see that if he hadn't have had the Rindo Berry, with that set, we would have OHKO'd him. So really nice to see special Metagross with the power. He clicks Earthquake back, and we are able to weaken that damage, so that's really nice. So we're still at 74, which is like really good health. We're able to get our rocks because I knew he was not going to sack off Seismitoad there. It would have been a very baller play for him to get up his own rocks, but there was just no way that he was getting rid of one ground type on. Like, you know, then he would have been having to switch Jolteon into Tapu Koko, which I just felt was a lot less likely. So I do not really have a switch in for this Aegislash until I know what kind of set it is, whether or not it is physical or special. Because if it's special, then Stoutland is okay, and if it's physical, then Salamence is okay. But looking at this matchup, I'm kind of thinking Infernape and Tapu Koko are going to go ham on my opponent's team, or basically the top half of my team. So I decide to sack off Salamence here, basically. Especially because if he was physical but with HP Ice, then we could tank that with our Yachi Berry. But he is in fact special, he's got the Shadow Ball, and he gets the special defense drop, so he's definitely going to be able to kill me, even if that was a roll. I know I'll be able to outspeed him here, and he doesn't have an Earthquake immunity, which is really nice. So I just decided to click Earthquake. I'm really kicking myself for not putting Ground EMZ over the Yachi Berry on this, because I really was considering it like 5 minutes before the battle started. Because as you can see, this is a very physically defensive Aegislash, because even in the Blade form, it is able to tank an Earthquake, which like, assuming he was the set I think he is, which is max physical defense, then that wasn't a roll. and yeah, kill me off with the Shadow Ball. But that's okay, because we have severely weakened this thing, and the good thing about Aegislash, like, the only thing that really makes it able to be dealt with in Draft League, is that because it is so slow, I'm not that worried about it in that respect. He decides to click the King Shield here, which makes sense. He's able to, like, it's not going to make him be able to live my return, but it is going to make it so that whatever he brings in next isn't going to be quite as threatened. He actually decides to save that thing for sack fodder later, and go out to the Venusaur, which makes sense. He will be able to synthesis up on me, but I'm just going to go straight out to Metagross, because Metagross can do around 50 to this thing. As he actually clicks knockoff, and you see the fact that we've lost our Sugar Berry already means we're not really taking much damage from this thing, and that tells me this is a defensive Venusaur. It's got no attack investment, at least. It might have special attack investment, but I am expecting it to be very bulky. As he now sacks off the Aegislash, which is smart. He's going to be able to bring in something else to be able to potentially take on this Metagross. As he decides to bring out Paula, the Licky Licky, and I'm sort of like, I don't really know what you want to do to me, but I'm assuming you're going to want to Wish Pass, and, you know, then potentially, like, hit me up with an Earthquake. So I go out into Stoutland, because I figure I can probably 2-hit KO this thing, because I'm imagining he's going to be specially defensive. As he clicks Seismic Toss, and I'm like, cool, that's fine, that's actually great, because we don't take very much damage at all from that. As I'm going to click Return over Superpower, because I figured he would probably switch, because Superpower literally, like, one-shots from here. As I click Superpower and do exactly 50, which is interesting, which means he's very, very physically defensive, rather than specially defensive. And, yeah, we're able to just click this again and again. He's not really recovering enough to the point where he's going to be able to 1v1 me. If he did have Wish, which I kind of assume he has, like, given that he's Protect Seismic Toss, then that would have been a problem. But as you can see here, he decides to go for a double Protect on a turn where he could have Wished and then Protected and then potentially stalled me out. I don't know what was happening there, but cool. That's great for me. Great news for me, because Stoutland now gets to pick up a kill. And it's now looking like quite threatening against the rest of my opponent's roster. As Venusaur comes in, clicks the Synthesis, but I'm not letting this thing heal up. I want to weaken it so that I can kill it off with Infernape and with Metagross and with Tapu Koko. So he clicks the Sludge Bomb, does not get the poison, which is nice, because that allows us to take him down to 9%. And you can see he's outsped us the first 2 turns with the Synthesis and the Sludge Bomb, which makes me think, oh, okay, he's running like a reasonable amount of speed. But then I outspeed him on the 3rd turn and kill him off, and that is a bit unfortunate. Like, when you think that this isn't a speed tie, and then it turns out it was a speed tie the whole time, yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. I mean, yeah, no, there's no other way I can spin that. That's just, like, I got quite lucky there, to be able to take this thing out. Not that he really had an alternative play. He was always going to have to risk the speed tie. But if he had killed me there, Venusaur still would have been alive. I would have had to brought out Starmie. And I mean, at that point, Starmie's Psychic does get a kill, which is nice. But yeah, as it stands, we're able to get rid of Venusaur. Stoutland picks up a 2nd kill, and he brings out the Jolteon. I'm just going to sack to this thing, because Stoutland's not really doing much at this point, and I don't really have the greatest Thunderbolt switch-ins aside from Koko. We see that he's leftovers, which is actually very important, because it means he's not going to be Life Orb, he's not going to be doing that much damage to me. It means I can definitely tank a hit with Starmie. I can probably tank a hit even with things like Infernape. Probably not with Metagross, because it's at 51, but, you know. So yeah, we take nothing from that Thunderbolt, as we're able to click the Dazzling Gleam, get off around 40%. So we're going to 3-8 KO him from here, which is fine, because we're not going to be 3-8 KO'd ourselves. As he decides to sack off the Seismitoad. I did think for a while about this turn whether or not to go for the 2nd Dazzling Gleam and knock him out. I was kind of tempted to U-turn, which also would have knocked him out, and bring something else in, but I kind of figured that, like, because I was trying to maybe preserve the 4-0, because, you know, like, at this point, pretty much every member of my team bar Metagross, like, one-shots every member of his team, so I'm not too worried about the actual win here, but I couldn't really see a way of switching, of U-turning and then bringing something else in that wasn't threatened by either Jolteon or Hitmonchan. So yeah, possibly could have gone U-turned, gone into Starmie. I probably could have U-turned and gone into Starmie. That probably would have been the play. But as you can see, all a bit redundant, to be honest, because he brings out Hitmonchan, and I'm thinking, well, I kill him with Dazzling Gleam. Like, unless he's Assault Vest, in which case we just need to get damage off on him to kill him with whatever else in our team. But he's actually Choice Scarf. So, okay, sure, Choice Scarf Hitmonchan. Not what I was expecting to see today, but that's able to take us down with a crit Earthquake. Don't know if the crit mattered, depends on his investment. We're able to bring out the Starmie though, and we can just click Psychic now because we absolutely live even a crit Earthquake. And there's no way he lives that without an Assault Vest, so cool. Hitmonchan goes down, that brings out Jolteon. Depending on his spread, and if he's modest, this has a chance to kill, even with the Wakan Berry. But as you can see, with the fact that he has leftovers, it only does 55, and we're able to finish off the game with a Psychic from Starmie, taking that down, giving us a 3-0 victory over the Boca Raton Raticates. So, GG to that boy Troy. That was quite a fun game. I thought we played it reasonably well. I thought that we kept in control of the game, and I really liked how some of the more interesting sets that we had worked. So, being able to bring Stoutland was nice, even without the sand. And the special Metagross was really fun. I'm definitely going to have to try that again sometime. So yeah, that moves us to 1-1. We get a very slightly positive differential because we had a 2-0 loss last week and a 3-0 win this week. So that puts us just above 500, which is good. Not sure who we've got next week, but we will get to that when we get to it. So GG once again, and until next time, peace.